Professional Football Association Chairman Clarke Carlise has apologised after comedian Reginald D Hunter liberally used the N-word during the set at the Union's awards dinner. This is actually from today, Monday 29th of April 2013. Hunter repeatedly used the N-word, including in jokes about Luis Suarez on the night where Gareth Bale won the senior and young player PFA awards. English football has been rocked by race storms in recent seasons, involving the likes of John Terry and Anton and Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole and Suarez, who was banned for 8 games for a racist slur directed at Man United's Patrice Evra. American comedian Hunter is a popular figure on the British comedy circuit and regularly appears on British TV shows such as Have I Got News For You. Before the dinner, the PFA had boasted that he would bring his unique style of no-nonsense comedy to the event. However, after listening to Hunter's risque set, Carlile conceded that booking the comedian was a gross error of judgment. We're going to continue on that one because I thought that we made a really gross error of judgment in who we selected for our entertainment last night. I was embarrassed. As the chairman, I am embarrassed. I apologise unreservedly and it won't happen again on my watch, he said. All that has gone in football over the past few years, everything that we purport to stand for, his set was inappropriate. It really was. I'm probably going to get hung for it, but I can't be hypocritical. Everything that I have said and stood for over the past 3 years, if I sit here and say it's in the name of comedy, rubbish. I am not having that. Some people were really offended, and we as a union should not put anybody in that position. We have our values and ethics. We shouldn't sit people at a showpiece event of the year and put them in a position where they may well be offended and where words are used that we have actively campaigned for people to be sanctioned. Also, on a side note, Lord Ousley of anti-racism group Kick It Out has demanded the PFA explain themselves. It sounds to me that the PFA needs to answer questions about how they booked this person and why they booked this person, he told The Telegraph. I'm surprised that there wasn't a mass walkout. It almost begs the question, why does Kick It Out bother? Carlile confirmed he has already talked to Kick It Out about the issue. I've got a call from Kick It Out and they asked what I was going to say and do about this. I said to them, if they feel they have an issue or something to say, go out and say it and we will have to deal with it. I feel so strongly about this and so embarrassed that I am putting my position out there, and when we have our discussions we will see what comes, he told TalkSport. PFA Chief Executive Gordon Taylor added, I think there were a few raised eyebrows over the comedian, but that is the sort of thing you can't control. It was unfortunate. He's a professional comedian. It's a difficult subject in football, and with him not being fully aware of how emotive it's been in football, that was probably a difficulty for him. Now, before I come back to that, it is Aston Villa 6, Sunderland 1. 89 minutes and Gabriel Agbonlahor made it 6-1. I said a few minutes ago, as soon as that sending off happened with Stefan Sessegnon, it could get embarrassing, and it has. Aston Villa 6, Sunderland 1. Embarrassing ain't even the word. Villa doing their job, putting the side to the sword. But you know what, yeah? You know what? Reginald D Hunter using the N-word. The fact of the matter is with this, there's a few questions. Well, there's a few issues. Now, with the PFA, and a big good evening to Mr. Gezzie Fizzle. But I'm going to say a proper hello in a second because it was you who actually brought this story to everyone's attention. Now, Reginald D Hunter using the N-word in his act. See, this is the thing for me. I got no problem with it because for those who don't know Reginald D Hunter, he is a black stand-up comedian. A lot of people may not know that. They may not know who Reginald D Hunter is. It seems to me like the PFA did not know who Reginald D Hunter is, because if they had known, they would have, or they had done some background research, they would have known what he was going to come out with. It's like, see, you know what? This is that the PFA getting Reginald D Hunter for the PFA awards and him dropping the N-word. At the end of the day, it's in terms of a faux pas, it is in the same league as getting Frankie Boyle to do a a comedic roast of Katie Price. Mate, you know where he's going to go with his jokes. He's very controversial. And anyone who watches him or anyone who does their background research will know that. So they won't book him for that. Have you ever wondered why Frankie Boyle hasn't been on the Royal Variety Performance? If you know his jokes like I'm a fan of Frankie Boyle. If you knew his jokes like I knew his jokes, you would know why. And if you do your background research, you'll know why. Reginald D. Hunter, for me, he's not at fault. He's not at fault here. I have said many times before, and there's even a video. Well, it's audio with me on YouTube, phoning in TalkSport and saying, mate, anything is fair game in comedy. Anything and anyone is fair game in comedy. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's comedy. It's jokes. But for the PFA to be so sensitive about issues of race and hire a comedian that does base some of his humor on race and is very sharp-witted, clearly the PFA did not do their research. And you know what? That is more for them. That's more for them. Once again, some of the powers that be in football look like morons. They look like legitimate morons. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, you're not expecting a certain comedian to say certain things. Do your research. I got no sympathy at all. Clarke Carlise, I'm sorry, mate, but you coming out and saying, oh yeah, oh we regret this. We've made an error in judgment. No. You didn't make an error in judgment. You know who made an error? You know who made an error in judgment? You know who dropped the ball? You know who flopped catastrophically? Your researchers. You need whoever your researcher is, you need to be firing them. And you need to fire them sharpish, because this has landed huge egg on your face. And it could easily have been avoided. Why didn't you hire Jimmy Carr? It's one of them ones. Why didn't you hire someone like that who you know is not going to go racial with the jokes? It's one of them ones. To me, it's just clear that the PFA clearly did not do their research. And you know what? That's moronic. Your biggest showpiece event of the year, and you don't even know any background on the comedian you're hiring for it? Mate, if this was my big showpiece of the year, I would want to know the background of the catering staff, let alone someone who's going to be going up on stage but like busting jokes to everyone. Mate, it's one I said, man. Some entities, the moronic trinity is FIFA, the FA and UEFA for me. But the PFA, it's one of them ones. I'm not a fan of Gordon Taylor on a general basis, because that dude picks his spots when he wants to start talking smack. He very much picks his spots. So I'm not a fan of him already. But the fact of the matter is, the PFA looks stupid. They really do look stupid. Gman Gezzie, and we're going to throw this out to the Skypers as well. Gman Gezzie, what did you think of this? And welcome to the show, Gezzie Fizzle too.
You know what? What I will say is, I kind of disagree with you about the researchers being sacked. In terms of that, I don't think you can totally put it down to the researchers, because someone had to sign it off. So it's all down to the person who signed it off. Basically, they should be holding their hands up. And I've got to say, with Carlisle's response, you know, he's been man about it. He's literally held his hands up, saying, "Look, we're going to take responsibility for it. I feel embarrassed about the whole situation, you know, for what we stand for, you know, for the occasion of what this is, you know, for what we've been fighting for the last 2.5 years, you know." And he's actually, you know, he's trying to find solutions and trying to find resolutions behind the whole situation before it all gets out of hand. And you can only give him credit for that. He's actually doing, you know, what the FA and other organisations in football haven't done when situations like this have arisen. You know, he's brought it to the forefront. He's brought it to the people. He's let them know he's not happy under his watch. You know, something like this is happening. So I know it's a PR trick as well, but also you gotta, for it being a PR trick, you gotta accept that, you know, he's done right by it, by, you know, trying to attack it as soon as it's out there.
But the thing is, yeah, it's all good him doing that, and I understand Clarke Carlise doing that. But at the end of the day, as said, if someone had done their research properly, they could have avoided this totally. We ain't talking about actions. We ain't talking about actions of say a player on the football pitch, and his manager's got to justify it after. We're not talking like Brendan Rodgers being put on the spot after the match. It's like, oh my God, I didn't expect him to do that.
Yeah.
You couldn't have expected Suarez to bite someone. But at the end of the day, if you're hiring a comedian, you've got to do your background research and know what that comedian jokes about. I'm sorry, but that's lazy. It's lazy for me. And with Clarke Carlise being one of the higher ups as well, you'd think that he would be involved in that decision making.
Yeah.
So it's one of them ones. That's me. That's me on it. I mean, Gezzie Fizzle, did you want to jump in on this as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I have to say that I agree with you. I mean, I've seen Reginald D Hunter myself.
He's funny, ain't he?
I've actually been to one of his shows. And like you said, I'm not against the idea of them having a comedian, right? Because when you think about it, it really is a serious event, and you probably do want someone to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. Yeah. But when you think about it, there's so many other comedians that they could have gone to. It's not even funny. So, like you said, I think, in agreement with you and the Gman, it's a matter of whoever it was that researched it and said, yeah, let's go with Reginald D Hunter. Listen, you're flop of the week material.
Definitely.
Yeah, no two words about it. And then the person who signed it off, flop of the week material. Right? And I tell you what, controversial, I'm going to throw Clarke Carlise in there. I am, because here's the thing. After that signed off, what did you really think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, if you were honestly hoping for a different outcome, you know what you should have done? Something totally different.
Yeah.
At the same time, I respect him for putting his hand up and saying that we made a mistake. But it's just like, look, dude, the mistake is so avoidable, it's not even funny.
See,
you know?
Yeah.
To the point where I would throw the argument that, did you even really need a comedian? You didn't need a comedian, full stop. If you're talking about how it's a big deal, yeah, especially with the PFA and the Women's Football Association, for them coming together as one to celebrate. Yeah, you have a woman winning an award for the first time in history.
Yeah,
right. We're talking about how awesome that is. Why not just play it straight? What more do you need other than, look, right now we're making history?
Oh, exactly.
Done. Right now, making history. Right now, Gareth Bale's arguably the best player in the Premier League. Done. What else do you want?
Yeah, with Kim Little winning the inaugural PFA Women's Player of the Year, as you said.
This is what I'm saying. I'm just like, after that, right? What do you actually really need? Not a lot. Let the awards and the nominations speak for themselves.
No, exactly.
Like it's really not that hard to go and put together. So you know what? Everybody involved. Yeah, I'm gonna cast the net really wide. Everybody involved. You flopped.
Yeah.
You flopped just because when you really go and think about it, right? If it's really that momentous and you want to pay it due respect, you know what you do? Play it straight.
Yeah, exactly. No, you play safe. If you've got,
you take away all the bells, all the whistles, and you just say, you know what? It's not about bells or whistles. It's about paying tribute. Because especially with the PFA Player of the Year awards, you've got two players who, you're honouring above and beyond everybody else. Yeah, you say a couple kind words about them. You say what you feel of their contribution to the game, or the rest of their impact on the game for the year, and that's it.
Yeah.
What else do you really need?
No, exactly. I mean, I'm not against, like you said, I'm not against having a comedian. Some people are like, oh no, we might. I think it was Carlisle who said, oh, we might have to consider having a comedian in the future. No, you may want to consider checking what your researchers are doing.
This is it. I mean, for me, it's just like, I know what Reginald D Hunter's stand-up is mostly about. Because like I say, I've seen it myself. And I've seen recordings of his shows. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And like you were saying before, you know what? It's comedy. You know what comedy's about? The best comedy anyway. Everyday life. Things you see all the time. So like you were saying, literally anything, everything, fair game.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it is part of everyday life. So again, I say, what did you really expect? You see what I mean? And here's the thing: if you're really trying to take a stance against this whole racism issue, especially racism in football, right? Don't go and have a comedian who focuses on race. It's really that simple. Don't feature him at all, because you know what he's going to talk about, like you said.
Exactly.
Don't even bother. Right? Like I said to you, I'm not against the idea of having a comedian, but if we're talking about a landmark ceremony, which really it is, and to be brutal about it, as I say, everybody flopped, and they let the occasion down. Do you know how much of a big chance this was for the FA to stand up and say, you know what, actually the women's game is equally as important as the men's?
Yeah.
Absolutely massive. To the point where you can't even go and comprehend how much of an impact that would have had if they'd done it correctly. Whereas right now, right, are we even talking about the fact that we've had a female player of the year at the PFA Awards? Is that what we're talking about right now? No, we're not.
But see, it's such a. But see, you know what? It's such a shame, and you know the parasitic media had a field day about it. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, Kim Little winning the inaugural Women's PFA Player of the Year. That's fantastic. And this is in the same week.
And this is taken away from it so much that, you know what I'm going to say? I'm actually done talking about this now.
Yeah.
I am. PFA, you flopped, but you know what? Kim Little, I salute you. Congratulations. And you know what? To be honest with you, I think it's leading the way.
No, definitely.
And as long as we have, female player of the year every year, and it's celebrated just as much as the men's, and I'm talking about in terms of coverage pre and post, then more power to it.
No, definitely. Right? I couldn't agree more.
I just have to say, you know what, really, okay, they made a snafu with Reginald D Hunter, a big one, but you know what, they got it right. They got it 10 million% right with having a female player of the year award, full stop.
I mean,
so,
it's
you know what? We have to go and give them some credit as well. And the credit goes to the fact that they had the award and they're starting to recognise the women's game and put it on the same level as the men's game, because that's where it needs to be.
Well, I mean, it's been a good week for the women's game as well, because the FA on Friday 26th of April 2013 selected the clubs for with the Women's Super League licenses. The adjudication process for the Women's Super League from 2014 is in its final stage. The adjudication process for the FA from the FA selected 18 clubs for WSL license. The process is now subject to the FA WSL project team working with the clubs to finalise the terms and conditions of the agreements. So the following clubs have been selected for the FA Women's Super League 1: Arsenal Ladies FC, Birmingham City Ladies, Bristol Academy Women's, Chelsea Ladies, Everton Ladies, Notts County Ladies FC, formerly known as Lincoln Ladies FC, Liverpool Ladies FC, and Manchester City Ladies FC. The following clubs have been selected for FA Women's Super League 2: Aston Villa Ladies, Doncaster Rovers Bells Ladies FC, Durham Women's FC, London Bees Women's FC, Millwall Lionesses FC, London Bees Women's FC, by the way, is Barnet FC, Millwall Lionesses FC, Oxford United Women's FC, Reading Women's FC, Sunderland Women's FC, Watford Ladies FC, and Yeovil Town Ladies FC. Now, the fact of the matter is, on this, it's good. It's a fantastic week for women's football. At the end of the day, Kim Little being named the inaugural PFA Women's Player of the Year, and the FA selecting the clubs for the Women's Super League. At the end of the day, as Gezzie Fizzle said, the women's game is getting a bit of shine. But you know what? It's so sad that everyone's focusing on the Reginald D Hunter thing, and that shine is taken completely away from the women's game. Because Bale's getting mentioned. He's obviously getting his mentions, but it seems like more people are concerned with the apparent booing of Suarez, like he was the pantomime villain. A lot of people seem to be more concerned with that than Bale actually winning it. And it's like, mate, what? It's one of them ones, once again, the parasitic media. But you know what? But
you know what? In saying that, I've got to say that is a very big issue, because that's got to show, as I got beat down yesterday when I questioned why Bale won the awards, in terms of like, my issue is Bale's won young player, young players player of the year, and he's won players footballer of the year.
Yeah.
But in my eyes, how can you be in both awards at the same time? To me, that doesn't make sense. You're either young or you're a mature player.
No, yeah,
Well,
no, it's true.
I tell you how it works for me, right? The young player goes about saying, obviously, there's an age criterion, right? But for me to qualify as both young player and players player, right? For me, that young player has to be so exceptional that he's head and shoulders above most of the older players that are even in the category. That's how it works for me, right? Now, the fact that he's already got one award, I would say, you know what, to be honest with you, giving the young players, and that's enough, right? Because you can go and say, yeah, as a young player, he's gone and really contributed to, you know, the team's performance, so on and so forth. To give him both, for me, I think is a little bit disrespectful when you look at exactly what Luis Suarez has brought to Liverpool. And I'm not talking about biting people and being accused of you know, a racial slur or anything like that. I'm talking about his performance on the pitch, and strictly that. When you look at the performance on the pitch and the fact that he's gone and put in so many goals this season, I think he scored like 30 goals this season.
Yep, and the assists as well. He's got like 6-7 assists.
This guy has put his team on his back and carried the team. That's what he's done.
But then you got Van Persie. You got Van Persie as well. He's been the difference in the title race.
When you go and look at those contributions, especially Van Persie's, right? And I'm not saying it because he's a Man United player and because he scored against Arsenal and because he made sure that Arsenal didn't get 3 points and really they should have done. Yeah, I went and got all my jibes out of the way, right?
Swipes.
I'm talking about when you think about it, right? He had this one really, really white-hot season at Arsenal, and you're saying to yourself, can he do it again? To the point where most people, even including myself, was like, no. Nah, he's not going to do that. He can't do that. But you know what? He does do it, right? And I tell you why he would get the nod from me would be he really was the decisive factor in the Premier League title race.
Yeah. I'd have given it to Van Persie, to be perfectly frank.
As the PFA Player of the Year, when he's really the reason why Manchester United has won the title.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them.
So for me, it's a little bit backwards. But you know what? I think Michael Carrick should have been in that discussion as well. And I know a lot of people don't like Michael Carrick. They don't really rate him. And I think that's probably what held him back, to be honest with you. I really do believe that. And then, of course, you have Michu.
Yeah.
Yeah, how he's not in the discussion, I have no idea.
No, exactly.
Right? When you're talking about a guy that's come in and lit up the Premier League, and I'll tell you what else as well, it's so much harder. And this is why I would give him strong consideration alongside Van Persie and Suarez. It's so much harder to go and do it for a team at the level of a Swansea. So much harder. To the point where, you know what he's done? He's actually elevated Swansea's level as a whole. Right? To the point where now you have so many players, you know, from abroad and even in the league itself or in England itself that are now looking, and Wales of course, that are now looking at Swansea as an attractive proposition. Right? Before he showed up and did that, how many players would you honestly say would want to go to Swansea? Not that many. Right? Swansea would be doing well to keep the players that they had. Namely Scott Sinclair, who went to go and get a paycheck and warm a bench.
Splinters.
And get splinters. So I'm just like, well, look, now with what he's done and the fact that they've won a trophy with him there and he contributed, you know, greatly to that trophy, they're now an attractive outfit. So not only has he got the goals in the big games, he's raised the profile of the club and helped them win a trophy. I'm like, what more impact could you want than that? Especially at a quote-unquote smaller club in the Premier League.
But see, this is the thing with certain like systems of voting and that. It's like you just gotta you hope that everything's made on the up and up, but especially in terms of Suarez, it's kind of like, you know, that people are thinking, nah, I don't really like him as a person, so I'm not going to vote for him.
Yeah,
the whole apparent pantomime villain thing that happened. Because I say apparent because at the end of the day, I haven't heard any eyewitness reports or seen any direct quotes from anyone who was there. It's just the media purporting that happened. So there's no exact confirmation. But I mean, It's one of them ones. I mean, Suarez obviously in the last week got given a 10-game ban for the Branislav Ivanovic fight, and which is effective immediately, pretty much. So I mean, it's one of them ones. Obviously, that's counted against him, and for me, that would be why my vote. That would be part of the reason why my vote would have went to Robin van Persie instead of Suarez, because Suarez let himself down with that. Like I said last week, mate, he could probably kiss that PFA award goodbye now.
And I mean, I even said last
that
week.
Indiscretion.
I even said last week, and I want everybody that didn't see last week's show or didn't download the podcast from last week's show, listen, what are you doing? What are you playing at? Download the podcast, right? And go and watch the live video feed. Yeah? Do it now. Do it now. Anyway, the point I was making was, when you go, and I said last week that I personally didn't feel that after that event, of course, that Luis Suarez could possibly win it. I honestly felt like, nah, he's cost himself, right? But truthfully, most of the votes for that were put in before the event anyway. Yeah. So I'm still kind of struggling as to how he hasn't won it, or really had stronger consideration. Because like I was saying earlier, he put the team on his back. And it's not like it's the first season where, when you talk about Liverpool's best players, he's in the conversation and probably at the start of it.
Well, the media have a lot to do with certain things anyway, but in terms of overhyping and being stupid, like I mentioned earlier in the show about Barini's celebration, there was a journalist who actually started criticizing Barini for that, and it's like, wait, no, that's got nothing to do with Suarez's actions on Ivanovic. He's been doing that celebration for ages. Morons. So one of them was people just purporting stupid rumours. Like, oh yeah, Man City are looking at Brendan Rodgers. It's like, what? Where are you getting this from? Are you just plucking this out of the air? You getting these rumours from Twitter? What the hell is wrong with you? But I just want to put this out. I just want
to add a view to that, because I want to go back to the Luis Suarez, because just touching on what Gezzie said about them voting beforehand, and Suarez not getting the votes that he probably deserved, but it's all in relation to how players actually feel about Suarez. You said earlier on, Suarez was booed at the awards. His name was booed at the awards.
Apparently
so
twice.
It just goes to show what fellow players feel about Luis Suarez as a player, as a man.
But why did they vote for him?
Icon,
why did they vote for him at all?
Supposed icon.
But why did they vote for him at all then? That's the question it begs.
Well, the thing is, his name was in the hat. Some Liverpool players are clearly going to vote for him because they wear his t-shirts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That is true. But then, I was saying, if you're looking at it purely from the contribution, because that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about a singular footballer's contribution to the team's performance in the cup and in the leagues, right? You have to go and say, look, he is, without any doubt whatsoever, one of the best players in the Premier League.
Yeah.
There really isn't any two ways about it. But I do think you're right, G-Man, in that a lot of players out there, for whatever reason, and I'm assuming that some of it must be justified somewhere, like they must be getting sick of him scoring against them, or they've really decided to go and take a stance against him based on other incidences that he's been involved in, right? To go and say, well, no, actually I don't like you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know Ashley Williams famously wrote something in his book about Luis Suarez. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just saying to myself,
wrote a book?
I know.
I didn't even know you read one, but anyway.
I was just like, you know what? Here's the thing. And I know it's one of those topical things that most people would want to go and talk about. But my thing with it is this, right? Ashley Williams, why are you writing about that? What has that actually got to do with you as an individual? Yeah. Like, did he say something to you? No, he didn't. So what are you talking about? Stay out of it. Don't go and bring that up just to go and sell copies of your book.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you ain't got nothing else interested to go and say, do you know what I mean? Like about the times when you was on the farm and you was herding sheep, for example, then, leave Luis Suarez out of it. Tell us about you. Your book's supposed to be about you, not about him.
No, exactly. But
I'm just like, I really don't understand, what the position is. Because we're talking about fellow professionals, right? And I tell you who I'm going to bring up in this argument now. Diego Armando Maradona.
Okay.
He's the player I'm going to bring up, right? Arguably, probably the number 2 greatest player of all time.
Yeah, and not by much.
and not by a lot. Like, really, it's down to personal opinion. Right? But everybody remembers the fact that he was a coke addict.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers the fact that he blatantly cheated in games.
Yeah.
And I think was involved in some match fixing as well.
Apparently.
So here's the thing, right? How is it that this man can be held up with all this stuff against him, especially for England fans, by the way?
Yeah.
How he can still be held up as one of the greatest of all time when he has so many obvious flaws. I mean, the only thing against Pele right now is the fact that he's one of the faces of Viagra. That's about it. Are you having basically it's like, are you having problems getting it up? Call someone. I would. It's like, I would see a doctor. So I don't think I need to see a doctor. Triple X. But anyway.
Just, you know what I would add to that, my belief on why that's the case.
No, but what I'm saying is, right, if we can still hold Diego Armando Maradona to that kind of level of hero worshipping, yeah, even now, right, I say, what is really the difference between him and Luis Suarez? I want to throw that out to everybody else in the Skype chat, yeah, because here's the thing, Diego Armando Maradona, he's remembered for, you know, the sheer brilliance of his play on the pitch.
Yeah.
All those other things are more or less forgiven, right? Because he was so great as a footballer. Luis Suarez, I was saying to you, arguably Liverpool's best player now that Steven Gerrard is on the decline.
Wouldn't say on the decline, but
you add to the mix.
So I'm just saying. Go on.
Go on.
No, I was just saying that, you know, based on that, I'm like, really, for me personally, there's not that big of a difference. If you're still going to give Diego Maradona the respect, give Luis Suarez the respect and say, look, you know what? The other stuff, personally, I don't agree with, but if you're talking about your contribution to the game at the minute, you should be up there in regards to talking about awards.
You know what I wanted to add, what I wanted to add to that was the reason I believe is because, like Cantona, like Bergkamp, like Zidane, you know, like Maradona, like players that have these little hot streaks in them, Suarez hasn't done things in big matches where he's won stuff or he's given people that actual that feeling of, yeah, he's a terrific player. Yeah, he's done it against the small teams. Yeah, he does the odd brilliance here and there and scores a hat-trick against a Norwich or something.
He did it against Man United as well a year ago, but yeah, let's leave that aside.
When he's cheated or he's done these things, yeah, it just overshadows what he's done because he hasn't really done anything really big in football. The biggest thing you can say he's done in football is cheating the World Cup for Uruguay.
Well, I mean, he did go and win the Eredivisie with Ajax, but, you know...
Yeah, leave that.
People go and leave that out.
Win the what?
The Eredivisie with Ajax.
What's that? Is that
wow,
a milk?
Wow,
oh,
wow.
This guy's dumb.
Wow.
This guy's dumb.
Wow.
He came from exactly the same team as Dennis
Bergkamp. Don't ask me about
did.
continental football again. Yeah? You see, when we're having a conversation about continental football, keep it stum. You know, like how you wish stum after Man United beat Arsenal 8-2? Keep it stum just like that. Like, remember that beating in your head.
My point
one
being,
was he scored. Remember that hat trick? Remember that hat trick against Man United?
Wait. Winning the league in Ajax, yeah.
In Holland with Ajax, yeah.
Winning the league. What is that?
What?
What do you mean? What is that?
What? Listen, winning the league in any country is an achievement, right? That's why, for me, I still think Steve McLaren is being harshly treated.
Oh no, Steve McLaren that's a different issue. The Wally with a brolly.
No, honestly, I still think he's harshly treated because to go away to another country and do that's an achievement in and of itself. And you have to go and give the man credit for that.
3 teams relegated.
You know what? Before I know this is going to degenerate, but we want to throw this out to the Skypers as well, because Mike Harniman has been very, very opinionated in the chat. Mike, let us know what you've been saying in the Skype chat. Not just about Suarez not getting PFA Player of the Year, but Reginald D Hunter using the dreaded N-word during the ceremony, and also about your picks for the PFA Player of the Year. not only in the Premier League, but the Women's One and League One and others as well. Have at it, man. The floor is yours.
Okay, right. I'll start with what you were just talking about there, which was about like the media and all that sort of stuff. The media, like I've just said in chat, is like you were saying, Maradona and Suarez. What's the difference? Yeah, the difference is the media has sort of become a lot more influential in this sort of era that we're in now. Yeah.
Yeah, the power. Yeah.
Basically, the difference is if Maradona, yeah, he scored some great goals, everything like that. But Suarez, he's done exactly the same. But because of the media, people are more focusing more on the fact that he fits someone or something else has happened.
Well, it's the parasitic media. As I like to call them, it's the parasitic media. The media is more willing, is always more willing. Just look at the front page. Just look at the front page of any tabloid. They are much more willing to focus on the negative rather than the positive. I bet you any money on the back pages earlier today, Monday, 29th of April 2013, I bet you nothing was mentioned about Kim Little winning the Women's PFA Player of the Year. I bet you. I will be willing to put money on it. Any newspaper, broadsheet, tabloid, you won't get more than some little tiny piddly little paragraph, but the big story will be, oh, Suarez was booed. That's why I call them the parasitic media, because they would much rather focus on the negative. And there's a lot of scurrilous reporting. There's a lot of bogus reporting out there anyway. That's the thing that gets me. And people, there's a lot of people who don't know comedy and don't know football talking crap. David Cameron, for instance, him talking crap about football. I had my personal opinion on that 2 years ago, when he was calling football murky politics. Remember, Davey boy, how you got into power. You didn't win outright. You got in by default. You remember that. Now, the fact of the matter is, I definitely want to come back to what Umbreen's saying in the chat, because at the end of the day, some might see us as part of the media. Some may see us as that. And I would be glad to be seen as that, because at the end of the day, we ain't just going with the common opinion. We ain't just going with the opinion that everybody has beaten down once again. It's one of them ones. We're making our own views. And the Pitch Talk family, we respect our fans. We're not talking at you. We want to have a conversation with you. That's why it's we the people for the people. We're not shoving. We're not going to shove. We will never, and you can quote me, we will never shove opinions down your throat as fact. We won't do that, because that's not what we're about. We're about honest opinion here. And at the end of the day, we ain't got no agenda. We ain't got no agenda here. So it's one of them ones, like what Mike is saying about the media. There's a lot of lazy journalism out there. There's a lot of misreporting and non-reporting. And it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. But I want to ask as well. At the end of the day, I want to ask as well. Umbreen, I know you've been kind of taking everything in terms of the chat here. What was your view on this whole Reginald D Hunter controversy? Do you think it was blown out of proportion, or do you think it was justified?
No, I think it was a complete waste of column inches, to be honest. I saw the story. I literally couldn't even be bothered to read all the editorials. I just went through the headlines and I just thought, what a waste of column inches. Absolutely. There was nothing in the story, to be honest. But then again, it is all about sensationalizing a story to sell papers, isn't it? To make it more interesting. Exactly. It's like, royal wedding. What do people focus on? Pippin's derriere. It's crazy. And even today, there was a story about Kate Middleton, how she's promoting children's hospitals, and rather than focusing or acknowledging the fact that we've got a highly respected figure promoting children's hospitals, what were the tabloids focusing on? Her dress wasn't long enough. Like, seriously, it's insane, really.
I'm sorry, but our media on a general basis is embarrassing. It is actually embarrassing. I'm sorry, but a lot of our media is embarrassing. It's just not on. It's the things that are focused on here. But you know what, yeah? We're going to switch segments. But before that, congratulations. I would like to say, yeah, I'm wearing a Liverpool shirt on my chest. I wear the Liver Bird on my chest. It's a shame Suarez didn't get the PFA Player of the Year. But at the end of the day, it's a case of I just want to say, well done Gareth Bale for winning the PFA Player of the Year and the Young Player of the Year. Kim Little, well done. That's a great achievement, not just for yourself, but for women's football in general. Women's football is on its way to, in my view, to getting the respect it deserves and the credit it deserves. So it's one of them ones. Rachel Yankee has done great things this year, and you've done great things this year as well, as evidenced by your PFA Women's Player of the Year award. So Kim Little, congratulations. Congratulations. And you know what? Just on a side note, be honest, be vocal, have an opinion, and make your voice heard.